Good afternoon, everybody. I'm your host, Crystal, and this is another edition of the 9 o'clock Meltdown. And via phone, I have Miss Texas, or Tex, or Nico. You have a multitude of names, my dear.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come talk to us. It's absolutely wonderful. And now you are, to put it into a really precise moment, you are a queen, a drag queen,
Yeah.
down in Texas.
Um, actually, I've never been to Texas.
Really?
I am Seattle based. It's just a
Seattle.
lot of people.
Uh-huh.
Yep, I've never been to Texas or 1988, so the entirety of my name is a lie.
Well, you got me there. Before this interview, I tried looking up all your social media platforms to see where you were located and kind of where you were at. I totally went off the name.
I need to update, let people know that I'm in Seattle. I actually had another queen from Minnesota ask me if I had any recommendations of where she could perform in Texas. Because she also going off of my name, and I felt bad. I had to be like, I don't know a single gay club in Texas.
Oh, awesome. Well, let's start there, Miss Tex. How did that name come about?
So I started in Minnesota, and I started more as just like a queer performance artist. Mm-hmm. So I did a show, Queertopia, at Intermedia Arts, and I was wearing like a blue sparkly dress, and I went up to get a drink from the bar, and the bartender kind of made fun of me and was like, "This dress makes you look like Miss Texas 1988." And I was like, yeah, rolling with it, going with it, like that's my new drag character. So I came back to the same festival the next year and did a whole performance in drag as this character of Miss Texas 1988, this pageant queen who really wanted to succeed. And that's just kind of where the character was born.
Very cool, very cool. That almost kind of sounds like how I came up with the 9 o'clock Meltdown. You said ooh, so now I have to tell the story, right?
Yeah.
So I was at a radio station, KUWS, for a long time, actually, 10 years. And one evening I'm sitting right before I'm supposed to go on air and announce the next song that's coming up. And I had a friend of mine, a filmmaker friend of mine with me, and he was helping me on a project. And he just said it was right before 9 o'clock, before my show came on. And he said, well, don't have another meltdown now. And the 9 o'clock Meltdown was born from there, so.
Yep. Similar. Yeah, okay, great. So both people coming for us a little bit, but flip it around.
Right, exactly. So now you are based out in Seattle, Washington. What led you out there?
I was following some friends. I had a lot of friends who had moved out here. I knew that the drag scene was a little larger and pretty theatrical, just based off what I've heard from other queens. And I also kind of got caught in the middle of Minneapolis, had a very hard period where a lot of art spaces shut down. So a lot of five different venues. Like I said, I started at Intermedia, and they've shut down now. Bedlam was my home, and they were in St. Paul, and they shut down. And so many different places kind of started having attacks on space, or were just changing ownership. That I kind of didn't have a lot of opportunity there at the moment, so I decided, well, I have a lot of friends in this other city, I might as well try it out. And I ended up staying here for about 4 years now.
Oh, excellent. Was it kind of difficult to get into the drag scene in Minnesota and Seattle, or has it been kind of easy for you?
In Minnesota, there were a lot of amateur competitions and stuff that kind of got me going. And when I moved to Seattle, I thought it would be a little more difficult, but I kind of had a very lucky moment of being in the right time, in the right place. One of my friends had pointed out a show here that had kind of some very odd hosts. Coochie's Critter Barn and Rapture was the other show. And I kind of moved here right before they had a big competition for their Critter Person pageant at Coochie's Critter Barn, and I didn't realize how big of a deal it was. I hadn't ever been to the show. I had just freshly moved here, so I showed up expecting that no one would like my drag because I'm a very strange queen. So I showed up and I did a slowed down version of I Only Have Eyes for You, wearing like a leotard covered in googly eyes, and googly eyes like poorly glued to my face, and smeared chocolate on my face and ate a tulip. Thinking that everybody in the audience was going to think I was the strangest thing, but I kind of found my home in that moment and was luckily there. They cheered me on to the next round, and people were really into that kind of absurdity. So I kind of ended up in the right scene and ended up in the right venue.
Excellent. Yeah, wonderful. Excellent. Now, Nico, how did you get into drag? I mean, it's not necessarily an art form that a lot of people necessarily adhere to. Not like, playing guitar or something like that. How did you get interested in it?
I think nowadays so many people do kind of, especially because it's becoming more and more of a popular art form, it seems like like a lot of people are getting into it as a creative, at least in Seattle. For me, I did start more in that kind of queer performance art space. I was really influenced by people like Tim Miller. So I was doing different cabaret things and kind of playing with gender. I'm genderqueer, and playing with, like, I had studied solo performance and costume design in school. I went to the University of Minnesota for the theater program. And the more that I just kind of played with, like, doing my own short cabaret acts that dealt with gender and character and strange costumes, the more and more people were kind of like, oh, I like your drag. And I was like, oh, what's that?
Okay.
And when I first looked at drag as like an art form, as kind of somebody kind of outside of it, I was like, oh, that's not what I do. That's all about being like pretty or glamorous. And I really wanted to critique some of those things. But the more I tapped into it, the more I realized, like, oh, no, you can drag is so many different things, and you can be whatever kind of strange looking person you want, critiquing whatever you want. So I kind of rolled with it and started doing, like I said, those amateur competitions at Lush to kind of get a baseline of respecting the art form before I also kind of went my own way with it.
Right. Was it, now being on stage, I've been on stage many times. It sounds like you have to, was it really nerve-wracking in the beginning to kind of put yourself out there, so to speak?
Not necessarily. I'd been doing theater for a very long time, maybe since I was like 8.
Okay.
So doing stage performances, I still always get nervous before I go on stage, but it wasn't necessarily new. I think the most nervous I've ever been in drag was my first performance in Seattle, because it was such a moment of like, is this gonna work? Did I move across the entire country for a good reason?
Excellent.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, excellent. And now you said that you were kind of influenced by some older theatrical performances and things like that. Do you ever kind of steal your looks from other queens and kings, or is it a combination?
I try to not like just outright to take a look, but I do definitely get a lot of inspiration from people. I usually if I do take something, if I notice like, oh, I noticed that you did that really strange thing with your eye shape and I want to try it, I'll like message the artist and say, hey, can I try that? Do you care if I use that for this performance or incorporate that into my look? So some of that, and then there is some like general sitting and watching YouTube videos or asking other people, hey, how did you get that blended effect there? Or how did you get that harsh line there? Just so I can add to the tools to my repertoire of makeup. But if there's something aesthetically that I take, I usually ask. The one person who I think aesthetically influences me the most that I don't get a ton of opportunities to talk to because she's a bigger name is Cindy Sherman, the artist.
Okay.
Yeah, she's very strange and I think really influences a lot of the drag that I do.
Wonderful, wonderful. And now, Miss Tex, I started following you on Instagram probably about 2, maybe 3 years ago now.
Yeah, nice.
And you, yes, you have a very unique look. I wish I could kind of encapsulate it here in one sentence, but I can't. It's kind of a cross between Tim Curry in Rocky Horror Picture Show and a little bit of, what was that drag queen's name? She had the big lip look in the 70s. I think Pink Flamingos was her movie, or it was one of her movies.
Divine?
Divine, yes, thank you.
Yeah. I'll take that. I'll definitely take that. If I'm between Dr. Frankenfurter and Divine, that's exactly the area that I want to be.
Good. Excellent, excellent. And your look is very, very unique. Your most recent photo that you put out, it's you're in kind of like this nuclear fallout outfit, but then in front of you, you've got this mashed up kind of table with some forks and spoons and stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about that. Did that come about because of COVID-19? And
it actually was just happened to be a very applicable looking outfit. I'd taken that photo a long time earlier. It's based off of a performance I do as like the nuclear housewife, and it starts with me in a table, and I slowly come out of the center of the table to the song "It's the End of the World" by I think it's Skeeter Davies is the name of it's kind of like a kind of a slow 50s or 60s kind of supposed to be like a romance song, but I do it with like sirens in the background. I think I used it for Fallout, the video game.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, fun. Very fun. Very fun. So have you done a lot of competitions and stuff like that?
Oddly enough, I have, and I'm not a competitive person, and I don't, I kind of like the point of having a pageant name was kind of to critique, because I consider myself like the queen of failure, like the queer art of failure. The book is my personal Bible. But I did that first competition, and I moved on to the second round with the top 3, and then I think I got second. So I did that same competition, Critter Person, later, and I won it in 2018. And then I competed for Miss Bacon Strip in Seattle, which is an unpageant, and I won that one. But then they called me the next day and told me that the points were wrong. Somebody else won.
Oh no!
I thought it was so hilarious. My very good friend, the Old Witch, won. And it was like a big kind of stir up, but it was so perfect because I was trying so hard to not win, especially because it was an unpageant. So I was crowned in a burlap sack that said failure on the front. So it was perfect that they crowned me in that and then took it away the next day.
Oh, jeez.
And I've worked with them a ton since. I thought that was so. When they called me, I answered the phone with, "Are you calling to tell me that the points were wrong and somebody else won?" And they just kind of paused and said, "Well, I wish we weren't," but I just started laughing.
Yeah.
So I did that one, and then the one other big competition I did out here, we have a bar called Our Place, and they did a So You Think You Can Drag competition that was 10 weeks long, and the ending prize was $5,000.
Wow.
And I won that one as well. I did not expect to.
Good.
But,
Good for you.
Very happy to.
Yeah. Oh, congratulations. Let's talk a little bit about drag performances. People are probably familiar with RuPaul's Drag Race and things like that. And maybe they're more familiar with going out to, up here in Duluth, we have the Flame and things. But, they're not necessarily familiar with what goes on behind the scenes. Now, with you and your competitions, I mean, it's not just putting together a costume, putting together makeup. It's also, finding the right song, coming up with your own choreography, and lip syncing as well, if you do any of that. There's lots of different facets kind of behind the scenes. What's your process like in picking a song for a competition?
Yeah. I I'm just it took me a second because I was just like listening and appreciating that you have it sounds like you have a very good understanding of drag. So thank you.
Yes, of course.
And I want to come see that show in Duluth too. I usually, so I've been told that I pick songs backwards from most people. Most people hear a song and they think, oh, I want to perform to that. Mm-hmm. I usually come up with a story or a character that I want to tell first, and then I go and find the song. So I kind of use songs as scripts. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll hear a song and I'll be like, oh, this has potential, but I'll just keep it on my Spotify playlist for like 3 years and then go back to it because I'll finally think of the idea that like, oh, I need that song. So I go more off of the character first, and then I also try to pinpoint it to the venue as much as I think I try to challenge people's like perspectives on what is like good and what entertainment is. Mm-hmm. I also all the time am trying to be very cautious of I live by the rule that it's good to push people's boundaries, but you can only do that from just within their boundaries. So okay. I try to not do something so far out that I'll just lose the audience.
Oh, okay. So it's very much so kind of catering to your audience then.
Yeah, I really try to, and that goes in both ways of realizing when I'm with an audience that hasn't really seen drag before, mm-hmm. I can do something kind of outlandish, or push a boundary or perspective, mm-hmm. For them, that if I went to a like alternative, like kind of cool club, I could do that same performance, and a lot of them would be like, oh, we've seen this before, mm-hmm. we get it, so I kind of have to like stretch the edge of the boundary when I'm critiquing, depending on the venue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, all right, very cool. Have you ever judged a competition before?
Oh yeah. There was one competition that we judged. There's a show called Art House out here, and we hosted it one year, me and my like old drag family. And then the following year, we were brought back to judge one round, and it was me and 2 other drag queens. We had a little hoot. Art House is a more kind of carefree, fun, and creative space, so. Mm-hmm. We were probably just obnoxious as judges rather than helpful. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'll get to come back. I think I get to judge both Critter Person this year, and hopefully I'll be a finale judger for So You Think You Can Drag. So I'll get to go back and judge some of the old competitions I was in.
Very cool. Very cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think I'm most excited about the judging part than the competing part.
Excellent, excellent. A lot less stress, right?
Yeah. I get to be like the what is it, Paula Abdul, the like nice one.
There you go. All right. Wonderful. See, now you'll have to come up with a Paula Abdul show, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Perfect. I'll just come as her when I judge.
There you go. I love it.
Pretend like I'm that mistaken.
I love it. I love it. And now, most people know some more. Let's get into makeup and things like that a little bit, not to derail competition conversation here.
Oh,
but
no, please do.
A lot of people, they'll know maybe some of the more prominent, I wouldn't even know if I'd call, I believe he goes by he. I don't know if I'd call him a queen or not. Jeffree Star, he has his own makeup line and things like that. Some maybe people are more familiar with that. But do you have kind of certain makeup that you adhere to in the drag world? I mean, is there a makeup brand that you'll swear by?
Anything cheap.
I like that answer. I love that
yeah,
answer.
A lot of people think that they need really fancy makeup to do stuff, and like there's certain like I think theatrical makeup that you can't necessarily get at a drugstore just because people aren't trying to cater to super vibrant colors in their daily life. But I go to local costume supply stores. I do use the standard like TV paint stick by Kryolan that a lot of people use because it's a very thick foundation. But otherwise, I kind of have a smattering of different random palettes that I pick up, and it's weird because I think the like more well-known celebrity makeup artists cause as much drama or more drama than almost any other art field that I know. Like Jeffree Star is a super controversial name, and one of my friends gave me a palette that I absolutely adore. It's really vibrant colors, but it's a James Charles, and he has his own drama behind him. So there's a lot of, it's like controversial which palette you get.
Right.
But yeah, I think anybody can do drag, starting with, NYX and whatever they can find at a Walgreens.
Right. All right. Good deal. And actually, just for conversation's sake here, Kat Von D, she's a tattoo artist, but she has her own makeup line, which I enjoy. I enjoy some of her eyeliners from that. She and Jeffree Star had a huge falling out several years ago. So yes, there is controversy within those celebrity makeup artist brands, I guess you could say. And I don't know, it's something different that I don't really adhere to, but hey, to each their own,
It's super bizarre.
It is. It's almost like cat fighting, but in a weird warped sense. But anyway.
YouTube. Yeah.
YouTube. Thank you. Yes.
I am curious. I want to know, so will you tell me about your local drag show that you were...
So, in all honesty, I've actually never done drag. Now, with that being said, I would like to. But, with the whole COVID-19, everything's kind of off the board for now. But, however, I used to do Rocky Horror Picture Show in town. Nice. Yes, I started that, did that for 7 years strong. I've taken kind of a step back from it, honestly. And I'm okay with that. Times are changing, and that's okay. So that's kind of as close to drag as I got. Now, with that being said, I had a lot of friends in the drag community, the queer community, and I've been to their shows and supported them and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm at with things. I know a lot about it. I know what goes into it. I have never done it myself.
Can I ask what character you played for Rocky Horror?
Yeah, I played a Transylvanian for all 7 years. So,
nice. Fun. We just did. We're doing a all drag shadow cast show here.
Oh, wonderful!
And I also perform as a king sometimes. My king name is John Jacob Jingleheimer shit. And so I played Rocky as him.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Actually, no, I take that back. I played as Rocky 1 year too.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, fellow Rocky.
Yes. Yay, fellow Rocky. I will never forget it. So, obviously you can't see me, but I am very little. I'm very petite. And, it was the year that we only had 5 performers because everybody else was off doing other things. So we only did the main couple songs, and I ended up playing Rocky. So I cut my hair really short, bleached it, and then they bought me a fake chest piece that I tucked into these little golden shorts because it was too big for me. It didn't fit. And I still remember it. So during the Rocky, there's the reveal of Rocky. He's being unwrapped and everything. And I came out and I stepped out from behind the screen, and one lady in the audience yells really loud, "What the fuck is that?" And I almost broke. But here she was expecting this hot hunk of a man to come out, and instead comes out this beanpole of a woman with a fake chest piece that doesn't fit right.
That's even, I see, and I think that's the future and the fun of Rocky.
Exactly. Yes, definitely. So who are you going to play in this upcoming Rocky performance? Do you know?
I'll just keep being Rocky. They have me on. I performed it last year, and this last October as Rocky. So
excellent.
Yeah, so they're gonna keep. Yeah, and it's fun because it's all a totally drag cast, so most people don't necessarily look the quote unquote part that you'd expect. And
right.
Yeah, all part of the fun. Like Brad and Janet are two people who like kind of are they do a great Brad and Janet, but they every time they get into that makeup, I'm like, this is scary. I don't recognize you. It's the antithesis of how I normally see them.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, Nico, you had mentioned that sometimes you play a king as well. And now, usually within kind of the drag world, I guess you could say, kings are reserved for more, women playing men. Queens are more men playing women. Is there really a difference between the two? Or is it what you're doing on stage, what you're kind of putting out there on stage?
I'm very fortunate in this, or I love about the Seattle scene that it really doesn't matter what you or who you are underneath your makeup and your character. It's about the craft of everything that you do once you hit the stage and everything you put on top of who you are.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I know Seattle has a ton of like trans women who do drag, cis women who do drag as queens, trans men who are kings, genderqueer people who do both, which I fall into that camp of. And so and sometimes people are a little weird about it or whatnot, but like I just think that only offers more like creativity within any field. And I do think it's important for anybody coming from any gender experience to be able to kind of poke and prod on the tropes or, the items that they want to rebel against or celebrate of any gender facade. So for me, it's a really awesome way when I get to be a king of kind of critiquing certain aspects of masculinity. And when I'm a queen, I get to critique the other side of things, the aspects of like femininity. And, sometimes it's about embracing those, but for me, it's a lot of it's a creative access to the tropes of the entire gender spectrum is important for me.
Yes, excellent. And that's wonderful that there's a scene out there that, allows for kind of that fluidity behind it. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I think, most people kind of stick to their one, but we have a number of people out here who just go from everything and in between and sometimes just look like odd aliens and creatures. And so it's, I think the future of drag really will move past gender in general. And I'm excited about that.
Wonderful. Excellent. That is exciting. Very exciting. Now, Nico, you said that you went up here to University of Minnesota. You were in theater for a while. That's kind of how the whole drag thing started with you. You moved out to Seattle. And recently I've been following you on Instagram, like I said, and recently you've kind of started putting out videos as well. One of my favorites, I believe, was you in the pantry, and I wish I could remember the title of it right now. It
might have been like Quarantine Home Cleaning.
Yes, there you go. Quarantine Home Cleaning. So what brought this about? Is it just the fact that the globe right now is on lockdown and you still want to put out art? Or has this been kind of a long time coming?
I've always posted more so like on my my Facebook. I posted like little like tiny creative videos. I used to do that. And so I had done like a tiny bit with that, but definitely the current videos are a direct response to the fact that we can't go out and perform on a stage. I wanted to stay both creative for myself and for the people out there. I don't want to make that sound egotistical, but like there are people out there who still want to be entertained, and so I want to be there to entertain them. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback from those people saying, hey, this is what I needed, or this really cheered me up. And that's exactly what I'm creating those for, is that even though I can't be on the stage to entertain somebody, I want to still be creating art for other people to engage with. So
Right. Perfect. Excellent. Wonderful. So what do you have in the works? Do you have any videos? Do you have any photo shoots? Any looks that you're going for?
Yeah, I'm currently editing another goofy video with my friend Betty Wetter, and it's just kind of like a news reporter thing, trying to like report the news from home. So we have that coming up. I'm in a show called Glory Hole out here that's more performance art based, and we have a video that's coming out. So we were supposed to do Glory Hole Climax was the theme, and so we decided to just film something to put together and put out there. And I imagine most of the other shows that I'm in will also put out work. I'm currently talking to Wild Thorns, which is the mostly King drag show that I host as well. We might put together a video. Fucked Up Variety Show is one that we do kind of crazy shit on our stage. We're trying to figure out how to encapsulate that into art to put out to the public. So I think every show that I'm in, we're going to, and there's many others. I always forget to list a show. Makes me anxious, but I think we're all going to band together and do our best to keep putting art out there.
Perfect. So. Excellent. Miss Texas, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk with me and the wider world of the internet as well. Thank you so much for sharing your creativity, your knowledge, your wisdom with us this afternoon. And I can't wait to see what else you come up with.
Thank you so much, and I can't wait to continue hearing your wonderful podcast. I'm so honored to for you to reach out. This is exciting.
Of course, you're very welcome. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful afternoon.
You as well.
All right, bye.